good.
All right.
So a little trim back there, though.
Yeah, I know, next week.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Let's call this meeting back to order. Appreciate ODOT waiting till 10. We did have a meeting with ODOT at 9 o'clock regarding the proposed safety upgrades. And I know, Zach, you missed that, but it is recorded, so please listen to that. There was some good stuff in there if you want to listen to that. About a half-hour meeting. So they're going to now give us the annual construction update. Oh, please.
Commissioner Wagner.
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy.
Here.
Commissioner Zoller.
Here.
Okay, you guys have the floor.
Can I get rid of the time? I made it
Oh, you can get rid of
the whole first meeting
Sure.
I wore, so. All right. Okay. Yeah, welcome. Thank you for inviting us to Williams County. I'm Deputy Director Todd. I'm at District 2, but I'm Deputy Director. Sorry about that. We do a lot of these and we don't always catch that. In the last meeting, we briefly talked about our funding issues, and I always try to give a picture to everybody on where we're at the department, so you can be somewhat empathetic or not. With the funding picture, of course, we over the last couple of years talked about the turnpike and what it might do for ODOT. Again, we're still trying to figure that out. Commissioner Stacy and I had a brief conversation in the break. We're all trying to figure out those rules and how we might benefit. But the picture as it is, this was a slide that we showed last year. It shows our operating costs, debt service, basically our budget and where the money goes over the term from 2006 to 2017. And you can see the estimated revenues, which haven't changed a whole lot. That's what we're bringing in with our gas tax, federal gas tax, state gas tax. The unfunded major due program, which was the concern and the reason that the department and the state was looking at the turnpike as an additional means of revenue. The unfunded requirements out over the horizon were about $10 billion, and recent models show that the expectation is that just the money that's going to be brought in available for the major new program, or potentially available for the new program, only meets about $7 billion of the total picture. So the department's still, shouldn't say struggling, we're still working to identify how we're going to address our commitments on our major new projects and sustain the system that we have. Again, the track vote, actually track is meeting today. I talked to Commissioner Brian Davis from Williams County. He's going to be down there. I'm going to probably meet with him, again, trying to understand how this is going to work in the future and see what opportunities that are going to be available for the local community. The additional bonding, at least based on the information I have, is an additional $1 billion by this year, and then an additional 500 in the next 4 to 5 years. The couple areas just to note, our ability to fund our capital program internally alone. The first 2 years of this administration, we've reduced our workforce, implemented public-private partnerships and innovative contracting, and have realized a savings of about $100 million, which goes right back into our capital program. That supports our safety, our safe routes to school, all the stuff, system preservation. It doesn't give us enough money to provide a lot of the wants. It barely meets the needs. But ODOT is operating efficiently, and again, with the first meeting, we're trying to find solutions to work with communities to address their concerns. That's the overall strategic picture on our financing situation. It's not as dire or bleak. We're moving in the right direction, and the nature of the department and how it operates is fundamentally changed. Again, what I'm going to do is turn this over to Jeff Lurkey for the benefit of the people that weren't in this morning's meeting. I touched on it briefly. Our approach to project delivery now, as difference in the past, was ODOT was the owner of all issues, and we just addressed projects and safety concerns as they showed up on our radar screen because of limited resources and our ability to address them. Now with the addition of jobs and commerce into ODOT, we added another variable on how we deliver projects, and that is with the consideration of economic development, economic preservation to keep and retain jobs. So Jeff, if you have any brief words of wisdom on that.
Brief as in what, 5-10 minutes?
Whatever time you take until they ask us to leave.
Thank you, Todd. I have a background in economic development, have been with economic development in certain capacities for over 20 years in Northwest Ohio. Most recently working with the Village of Ottawa in Putnam County for 12 and a half years as their development director. So I'm very familiar with the trials and tribulations of a smaller community working against the larger communities and trying to get funding. The nice thing I like about what we're doing with jobs and commerce through ODOT, it's only been around for about 2 years now, but this allows for us to work with communities that are creating jobs and then potentially coming up with some grant dollars to assist them with infrastructure development that was within the public right-of-way. We're working on a project right now that would allow for us to participate with a community that has a $1.5 million road project, and we're coming in with about $250,000 in grant money to go along with that. So we work with communities, again, that are looking at creating private sector jobs, private sector investment, and also job retention. And also on the infrastructure side of it, that the community is involved through utilizing their gas tax, or possibly a revolving loan fund going through CDBG, or also leveraging dollars from Jobs Ohio, which would be what we call 629 dollars, which are related to jobs as well. The nice thing I get to do is I get to work with good people like Rich Fote, who you're very fortunate to have here in Seneca County, who's got a wealth of experience and is very familiar with how things go and working with development purposes. I'm fortunate to cover districts 1 and 2, so I have 16 counties that I'm constantly trying to keep in touch with, and fortunately get to use a state vehicle. And don't go over 30 miles an hour when you're going through Bowling Green, past Bowling Green High School. They'll give you a ticket, even if you're in a state vehicle. I don't know if I told
Does
you.
your boss know that?
That was on my second month on the job, too. I'm like, I am
That's all right,
so...
we've all been there.
But I look forward to working with you, and I really am looking forward to working with your Council of Governments. I think is a great idea that you have putting together as a regional group and looking at regional issues. And we'll be there working with you as we go through with this. So I'm here to work with you. So if there's anything I can do, let me know. Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. To reemphasize, again, this is a new approach at how we deliver projects at the DOT. We have our traditional programs of preservation and construction. Now with the without being fully funded, it's like stone soup, where everybody has to bring something to the party to make the soup. So we're community partners in terms of delivering some of these projects. We aren't in the lead usually, but we are working with the communities to deliver projects, and again, like Jeff said, through either Jobs Ohio or Jobs and Commerce, there's another vehicle for project delivery. So jumping over to our construction program here real quick, so to give you an idea of what's going on in Seneca County, then I'll ask Jeff O'Neill to brief us on the maintenance program. Traditionally, our district receives about 5 to 6% of the budget. In 2012, we were at 5%, and currently we've doubled up to about 10% of the statewide budget for capital program funding. And that's due mostly to the fact that we've got major bridge rehab project in downtown Toledo. Then we've got the mine mitigation on State Route 2 in Ottawa County. U.S. Gypsum built a mine under the road, and ODOT took the right of way, and the concern is to preserve the road, keep it from falling into the mine, so we're out there filling the mine in underneath the right of way, and that's about a $20 million.
This is pre-turnpike revenue?
Correct.
Okay.
And again, on the turnpike revenue side, These are, if there's capital projects in here, these are the tier 1 projects that have already been funded. We'll see a change in the percentages next year as we figure out how to plug in the turnpike revenue, or how it's going to be plugged in. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to our construction engineer, Dennis Charvet. He'll talk about the projects that we have. All I got to do is just touch the screen now.
Okay.
Slides.
Thank you, everyone. I can talk about the fun stuff, the actual work we're doing right now this year. In District 2, we have 73 construction projects active for $175 million. We have another 33 local lab projects. Gives us a total of 106 construction projects undergoing construction this year in District 2 for about just over $200 million. Specific to Seneca County, the last several years, we've had to make projects in Seneca County. We had detours, we had detours. A couple times we delayed jobs because we couldn't detour somebody. We already had that route closed. This year, not quite that busy down here, but we still have a couple projects. The first one, Route 23. This is a carryover from last year. We had 5 culverts on this project. We're finishing up the last one right now. It's supposed to be done early June on this project. And one new project for this year, resurfacing a couple different state routes, US 224 and State Route 587. Additionally, State Route 587 will be closed for 30 days. There are several bridges that are going to get repaired during that project. That's a $2.5 million project. Scheduled to start early July, be completed by October of this year. In addition, we have district-wide projects that touch on every county in the district, including sign replacement projects, pavement marking, guardrail maintenance, lighting maintenance, RPM installation, and signal maintenance repair projects.
Again, this morning briefly we touched on what we were doing on State Route 53, and I got, it's Jeff O'Neill. Oh, there he is. I thought you snuck out on me. We talked about addressing the safety concerns last year. We met with the commissioners and laid out a plan from Wyandotte County up to Tiffin, looking at that corridor and making some safety enhancements. For the folks that weren't with us this morning, we've also made a safety application for, I forget which location that was, to change the vertical curve. There's a hill out there. We'll know by the end of the month if we're going to get the money to do that. But Jeff, can you bring us up to speed on where we're at with what we agreed to do last year?
Yeah, we committed to getting it done in 2 years. Hopefully, right now we look like we're a little bit ahead of schedule. We're probably, I would guess, 35% complete with what we wanted to do. Our plan is to have that section done by the end of the construction season this year. So hopefully late fall we'll have everything finished out there on 53, grass seed growing and everything up to date. And then from that point we're going to move on to some other areas in the county. We've identified some other areas of similar, and I think we're going to take a little bit more proactive approach now and maybe be looking at some areas on Route 4 and other areas that are similar and do the same thing. So everything moving along pretty good at this time, and no issues with it.
Any issues in general with our overall maintenance program in Seneca County?
No, we are, right now we've been fortunate that we had a light winter and we've been able to keep up to date on things. We're doing all our normal stuff, our crack sealing and things like that, so everything should give us plenty of time, even with a wet summer, to get things finished up on 53. That's obviously our priority at this point. So,
other than what we discussed this morning, after we get finished with everything we committed to, I would like to come back and make sure that we've addressed and identify any other concerns, and if we're able to commit additional resources, or if there's a need to. And again, that'll solidify from Tiffin down to Wyandotte. The other discussion, of course, we'll keep that as a separate track, the Tiffin and north of Tiffin, unless you guys want to aggregate it all together, but that'll be your call. Other than that, that's our presentation. Tried to keep it short in deference to your time. Appreciate you allowing us to come in and talk about our program and hear your concerns.
For those of you that weren't here earlier on, we talked extensively about potential bypass using existing county and township roads around Tiffin from 53 north over to 18 and maybe further. And then from 50 through the 53 corridor. We talked about the turnpike bonding, or bonding money and some other things, and Todd is gonna do a little more looking into that and be back in a month, you said.
Right, I'll come back next month.
I see since then we've been joined by the governor's office. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah,
now
put
that
you on
I
the
don't
spot,
know
Chase.
what ODOT said.
Just say everything Todd said was probably right in
We
line
will
with what.
follow up in a
yeah.
month with Todd.
Thanks, Chase.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything else from the commissioners on this that you want to add?
Just a question on
Yes,
the
ma'am.
safety application that's in for the County Road 14 on 53 there.
Right, okay, that's the grade.
Yeah, you said you might know, would that, if that's a yes and can move forward, does that occur this year, the summer season, or would that be,
Well,
has to
would-
go into lots of planning or?
Depending on the scope, we would probably start design, if we could sell it this year, we would sell it this year. I would guess, based on the timeline, it would be an early 2014 project. But that doesn't rule out the possibility of it going this year. I just don't want to raise expectations. And
Right.
hopefully, we can get that project. No
I just wasn't sure if it
guarantees.
went for the application, if that already had some of that done, or if, you know, what the steps are in that.
Right, yeah, when we came out last year, we identified that curve as, at least I know the public safety folks that were here in the meeting and identified that as a concern, and so we did put an app in for it. One last thing, OGO was updated, that's our traffic. Teresa, what is OGO? Explain how we've changed, thank you.
OGO basically has all of your different construction information that you're looking for throughout not only the whole region here, District 2, your county, but also across the whole entire state. We're working on finishing our ITS system, which is Intelligent Transportation, in the Toledo area, which if you notice on the screen, you'll see the green around the belt, which also goes down through 75. Over State Route 2, and we're also looking at other routes as well, and that has real-time travel speeds so that you can make key decision points, especially if you're in the metro more congested areas. So that's just one of the projects that we're working on further north that you can also check before you go to any of your destinations, any of your meetings. And it's a great tool. What we want to do is keep the economy moving, keep people safe, and allow them to make great decisions so that they can get to work on time, delivery scheduled on time. So it's great to check it out.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for your presentation. We look forward to hearing in a month again where we kind of go from here.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Zimmerman, you had something for us regarding sewers? Do you want to shift gears that fast?
Thanks, Jason.
Mass exodus because we're talking about sewers, but
Yeah.
nice meeting you. Yep, very good. Let people get out of here. Thank you. Yep. They leave you with all the stuff, huh? Always.
Usually that means I don't have to present.
Oh, there you go. Take
Call me
care.
if you have questions.
All right, I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on where we are with the sewers. There have been a lot of questions as to where we are, especially with Bascom. As you probably recall, maybe the two of you don't because you were here when we did it, but we broke Bascom down into two separate contracts, one to build the plant, the other to build all the line work. All the line work is now completed and installed. The plant is, I would anticipate, 85 to 90% completed. Last Thursday, we did the startup on the two main pump stations. And what, excuse me, what that means is we actually filled the pump stations, tested them, tested the flows, tested all the call outs. We forced errors in the pumps to make sure that the dialing, the auto dialers called somebody properly. Those things are important because if the pumps stop pumping, either houses get backed up or sewage goes into the ditch. None of those things that we want. So the auto dialers automatically call Brad Bohr and myself automatically if a series of failures occur at the pump stations. The pump stations passed very well, no leaks, no issues, everything runs well. The plant, we went yesterday and spent about 4.5 hours to initiate the startup on the plant. The plant itself will take days, if not weeks, of time to get actual startup done. We did run into some electrical issues, nothing major at this point, but the electric service to the facility is high. And there is some cause for concern that if there's too much voltage for the pumps right now, that we need to work with AEP to either limit that or get some assurances from the pump companies. But that being said, the plant is installed. The clarifiers, the screening, the sand filters, the UV disinfection system, everything functioning properly, which means that within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we are going to start issuing the ability to tap the sanitary system. The first tap more than likely will be the school. The school has an opening day where they are going to be presenting to the public. I don't know what day that is exactly, but it's coming up in a week or so. The plant is ready to handle flow. It's not completely operational, but the plant's there. It's ready to go. Second to come online, I believe, will be the campground. And after that, we'll start with the series of homes and businesses that are in the Bascom area. That presents us with somewhat of a challenge that we have not faced yet in our sewer district, in that this is our first plant to be built, brand new. And to that end, everything that we have done up until now has been new construction, new houses that we have tapped into a new system or an existing system that we have. So there haven't been real issues with the taps. And that's really what I want to talk to you about, and that's what all this is leading up to. Is that one of the most important things with a treatment system is to remove as much stormwater, as much water that you don't want in that system, because every drop of water that goes in the system costs money to treat. Whether it's clean water or gray water, it all needs to be treated. So if somebody, for instance, has their downspouts going into their septic system right now, or into their sump pump, and the sump pump goes into the septic, if their footer drain sump pumps go into their septic system now, which is very common because that's the only tile that they have, well, all of that water then we would need to treat. All of that water would add cost and expense to the treatment system, and it would end up costing more money to all the residents in Bascom. So I put together, and I think I sent to all of you a proposed procedure and application for permitting, an application for permitting, and rules for tapping that will require the landowner to allow someone, an inspector, to go in, inspect their premises, inspect their tap, ensure that there is no stormwater going into our sanitary system, to make sure that the system is installed, make sure their lateral is installed correctly. Most homeowners, I would imagine, and I don't want to presume, but don't know the details of what is about to happen. As far as all they know is their house is getting hooked up to the sewer. And past that, I don't know that they care or want to know, you know, as an average landowner. But the details of that to ensure that sump pumps, roof drains, any other drains that may be in there are not accessing our sewer, it's kind of the end game of our sewer system. We have invested $4.5 million into the sanitary system for Bascom. And I think that it is very prudent and important that we adopt some rules for how we are going to tap not only Bascom, but these rules can be set in place they'd be in place for any new taps that we may have in the future, which I'm sure you know, as far as EPA goes, rules and regulations, these things aren't going to go away. We are working, I am working with some local inspectors. I will inspect as much as I can. There's absolutely no way I will be able to inspect all. They're physically impossible. I am opening dialogue with the Board of Health to see if that is a service that they can provide, or at least assist in providing. You know, there would be, of course, a cost to the landowner to do that, but that's part of the connection that they would have to pay, and along with the actual installation. If you recall, we did eliminate the $3,500 tap fee for all the landowners because we have been collecting money for so long. Traditionally, we do have let there be light. We do have that $3,500 tap fee that we require people to pay for tapping the system. That has been waived because we have been collecting from them for long enough. But I think the additional funds that they would have to expend for the inspection would be well worth it, not only for them long-term, but for our system and for the health and welfare of the Bascom area proper.
And in these rules, we're giving them a year to hook up. That was the
Right, that what we had talked about and what we had talked before is that, we would start a start date. That startup day would probably be when either the school or the campground hook up and we say, okay, the system is now operational. EPA requires us to give a time that we're going to be completed with the job. And, they like to see it within, I think, 3 to 6 months. We had talked that that's not reasonable. Bascom has been an issue as far as sanitary concerns go since Bascom was built. Giving residents a year to tap is not unreasonable, and it allows people to get contractors around, it allows people to get money around and saved and make sure that we aren't rushing to get something done that is done properly in fashion. So we had talked, and I think under the past board, and I assume that the three would still be okay with that we would give them a year to tap. So I believe we'll have this inflush of people right at the beginning that have to get tapped because they have problems with their basements or with their homes, and then we'll have this lag. And then close to May, June, July, August of next year, will there be a huge push again to, as everybody is required to tap.
Does the residents have a list of approved contractors? Does it have to be approved contractors, so you don't have individuals? And is there an approximate cost, so that when you get these contractors, at least the public knows?
Right. But there is an approved list. We are using the list that the Board of Health has. They have a list of contractors that specialize in sanitary work, whether that be septic systems, mound systems, sanitary taps. They maintain that list, provide training, do all the requirements for that. So if a new contractor, I don't say a new contractor, but a contractor that is not on our Board of Health list, then I have been directing them to the Board of Health to complete the requirements that they have to get on that list. So now, as far as a landowner being able to do it themselves, there are a couple of landowners that do contracting work, and they physically do. They don't just have a little backhoe on the back of their tractor. They do contracting work. And I have reviewed their past history with what they have done. I know them personally, and I have told them that I would be inspecting theirs to make sure that we are complying. But on your own property, just your property, if you have the ability to do it and you have convinced, I guess me, and I've taken the liberty of doing that, that you are capable of doing it, then I will allow an individual to do it on his own property if he's not on the list. You can't go to your neighbors and do it. You can't go anywhere else and do it unless you're on the list for the Board of Health. But you can do your own property. And there's only been 2, and they're actual contractors. They don't want to do this work. They don't traditionally do this kind of work, but I have no issues with their capability of doing it. As far as cost goes, all over the board. I would anticipate somewhere between $2,500 and $5,000 complete. Now that includes anybody that has an existing septic tank. That tank needs to be scavenged. It needs to be pumped. It needs to be hauled away. Anything that's in that tank, the tank needs to be crushed, or it needs to be basically a hole poked in it and filled with inert material. The sewer lines that are close to somebody's house are going to be fairly cheap. There are some people that are gonna have, 80 or 100 feet that they are gonna have to run. That, of course, is gonna be more costly. Also, there are some people that we have to go, or they're gonna have to go under a concrete driveway to make the tap. Well, they don't wanna rip up their concrete driveway, so it's gonna require boring. Boring costs more money. Anybody that has influent or has the downspouts currently going into the system or a sump pump going into the system, they will incur more costs because they're gonna have to remove that from our system. So it's really hard to judge. I guess based on history and what I've seen in the past, that's a range that we're looking at. So that's as far as that goes. But I did give you those. I would like to. I just wanted to introduce that and hopefully get it in the press because I know a lot of people. We want to put another newsletter out soon where I'll issue all this stuff. But I want to give everybody in Bascom and everybody in the area enough notice that they know it's coming. They should have seen the plant going, and they know things are happening, but no, they really don't know how quick this could happen. And I just want to make sure everybody knows everything that's going on with the sewer system.
So from us,
Is there any kind of financing available? Somebody's got $5,000 to hook up their
That's why
sewer.
we're giving people a year. The hope is that we can get people to get a bid, a quote from one of their contractors soon, so they know what kind of money they would need to do, what kind of money they would need to get around. And I'm not going to presume who has, who doesn't have. It's not my business. But if the issues of a home equity loan, or there are tons of things. This is a genuine improvement to the value of a neighborhood. So
Is there anything that the state has available? I mean, I could see $5,000 for some people. That's a
Sure.
big chunk. Is there anything available through the state or through
no,
some additional funding
This is all-
that will help these individuals?
this is all private.
the only possibility is the CHIP grant. If we are awarded the
Oh.
CHIP grant, one of the things that we put in was this type of thing. It would only fund just a few, and that's no guarantee that we will get that grant. Now, for the operation and maintenance of this system, we, through negotiation with USDA, got about 50% of the money forgiven. So of that $4.5 million, about 50% of that
Right.
is a grant. So the operation of the system itself is probably half of what it would be if we would not have gotten that money. But for the actual tie-in.
Right.
Well, that's my concern. I mean, that's a.
It has been, Fred, since Commissioner Zoller, sorry, from day one. And I think this board and prior boards have recognized that the burden is large, and which is why we have worked so hard to keep costs down by the long run, doing things like making the plant as efficient, as effective, as long-lasting as we can, and hoping to keep costs down for all the residents. We have been diligent since the initiation of this system and planning and design to make sure that we are building the best system we can, as prudently as we can, and with all the funding available to help people. So
Is there any advantage of economy of scales? And I'm just thinking, I mean, that's a tremendous amount for an individual, to try to come up with. I mean, if the county could get a consortium, get 50 landowners, 50 homeowners over there, that we would go out and get a bid, so that they get a contractor that would be doing a whole bunch of projects out there, and would give a lesser cost to the individuals.
They
we
can.
discuss those
They
kind
can,
of
we
things.
they can. We are not authorized through the sewer district, through the commissioners, or through my department to do work on
Can we
private
help
land.
facilitate something though?
Sure.
I just,
Facilitation is out, absolutely, that certainly can be done.
maybe have a town meeting and get some contractors
But again, they've
there.
had an idea. It's not like, I mean, again, I agree with Fred, it's a lot of money, but they have known for a while that they were gonna have this cost eventually coming.
Right, but this is not, for a couple of years, we have had town
Yeah.
meetings, several.
So it's, I just,
and
if you
yes, yeah.
didn't think they had an idea, but I said it is a lot of money and they're gonna have to,
Right.
they're gonna have to figure those
The
things
other
out.
thing
But
that we've, I'm sorry.
no, that's,
The other thing we've done as a county, I think, is begin collecting this fee 3-4 years
Right.
ago, so that we could now waive the tap-in. Normally, there's like a $3,000 tap-in.
On top of,
Top
Which
of
is,
the yeah.
which is waived, so that's a big chunk of the credit.
Well, that's what I was thinking, I didn't, again, I don't know the mechanics of the whole thing, but was thinking if we could take some of that tap-in fund, if there's extra funds there, and again, I'm thinking out of the box here.
there are no extra funds.
There is, so I mean,
Every,
it's just,
and-
that's gotta be borne
Right.
100%
yeah,
by the
in
individual.
order to qualify, not qualify, but get our USDA loan, we had to put up the local funds that we have. And those local funds were accounted for up until the estimated date of completion of the plant with how much we were gonna collect. So those monies have been completely accounted for.
Okay. What kind of bite do we have in the system if they don't tap in? Say they don't have the money, they just don't have the money, and now all of a sudden, they gotta sell their house. I mean, what kind of bite do we have in that?
The tapping in is not an option. They will have 1 year to tap in, or they will be condemned.
Condemned that, okay.
Yeah.
Necessary evil. I mean, I applaud it, what predecessors done, I understand the whole thing, but I just,
Well,
If
and
there's any
understand that Bascom's plant is not in existence today because the board decided it needed to be there, or because the landowners decided to be there. There was a complaint, EPA came down, and they issued orders, findings and orders. They found that the Wolf Creek branch was polluted due to Bascom, and they issued orders that we shall. And the difference here is that if you did not comply as a board, then that's $25,000 a day, every day, that you don't comply with the order of moving ahead. So, understand that. And I'm not saying it wasn't needed, I mean,
they made an investment in the future.
So first thing is, and what I would like to do, we still have some time, I wanna make sure it's right. Derek, or the prosecutor, has looked at the documents, I wanted him just to make sure everything that's in those documents that are state standard, or they're standardized, nothing, we just, hey, let's do this. But I wanted to make sure he was comfortable with them, representing all of us. He said he's got no issues with them. I would like to sit down in a work session, and maybe just go through the stuff with you guys. We have some other things, for instance, Brad Bohr and his group are inspecting the plant. EPA requirements for inspection have gone from 2 inspections a week to 3 inspections a week for all the stuff that he has been doing for us for the other plants. He has done that graciously without any increases. There's absolutely no way that we can ask him to take, we can't do it. But these are operating costs that we knew, already in the budget, that we knew that these things were coming. So I'd like to talk about those issues, but I don't have enough, I'd like all put down and presented for you. I also asked Bree at Regional Planning to get me all of the cost accounting for all of our sewers, so that we can go over what our costs and what our expenses are, to make sure that we are charging people an appropriate amount. We'd like to have a reserve in case a pump goes bad, something goes bad, but we want to make sure, I think, that we're not charging landowners so much that we have such a large reserve that it's wasting their money. It's their money. And we want to have some reserve, but, and we really haven't provided that level of accounting locally for any of our systems. So if we need to adjust rates, but like I said, I want to make sure that everything I have for you is accurate and in a presentable form. So
Do you want us to approve those pretty soon, or do you want to wait until after?
I would rather if I could get them into a more formal, they're at the Board of Health, being reviewed. If you guys had any comments, I didn't know if Derek would have any comments. I want to send them to Mary Beth, at EPA, just so she's in the loop. But I'm not gonna send them to her until we're comfortable. And after everybody's comfortable with it, then I was gonna ask you, what I don't wanna do is ask you to approve these rules, and they get out, and then we have to change a rule, and then what set of rules are we working under? That way we know it's right. So I figure we've got several weeks before the rules need to be issued, and this will give people some time to digest what we're talking about. So today I really just wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you and share with you where we are on the sewers.
So the next step is the work session with you.
That is correct.
Our next
Right.
step. Okay.
And I was gonna wait to do this even until the next work session, but it's not until,
I don't know what it is.
I don't either. But,
It's next Tuesday?
Next
Okay.
Tuesday.
I just didn't wanna- I wanted to-
After that.
talk now and then we
Yeah.
can talk again.
Sure.
That
Mark,
way-
you don't see any need, because I'm gonna do something you guys have already done, to call a public meeting over to Bascom, where we get the potential contractors, we get them in there, we call the citizens to come in, where we could talk and open for this, the tap-in thing, so they can then talk with the contractors and so forth. I mean, if you see a merit to that, I will be happy to facilitate something like that. If it's already been done, then we don't need to be redundant.
The landowners are being, and this will be a mailing that we'll have to send out with one of their bills soon, is they'll be presented with all of the all of the contractors that are approved, all of the scavengers that are approved, the haulers, the rules and regulations. It's gonna be and that's something we can talk about. Do the landowners need the rules and regulations, or do the contractors need the rules and regulations? I don't wanna make a million copies of stuff, but I wanna make sure everybody has, no surprises, as far as the system goes. So whether we can maybe post those on the website and then just provide copies to the contractors, that's what I wanna do at the work session. Whatever you guys think, whatever we decide. Holly, you probably know more about. I mean, honestly, the best way to outreach
Yeah.
people. So, looking for some guidance, the best way to do that. So, however we decide, that's what I'd like to do in the work session. So, if it's we decide we want to have another town meeting, we've had several, and
Yeah, but now everything prior was planning. Now it's time for implementation, where the individual homeowner will be involved now.
That is correct. And although I think we can guide that process, I don't want to, yeah, exactly. I don't want to big brother the process. They know it's coming. We've sent newsletter after newsletter. We will certainly be here for questions, which are, believe me, there have been lots, and questions and answers, and help and guidance. But I don't want to make people feel like we're in charge of it, because we're not.
If you're
That
getting a
makes sense.
newsletter out to them and explaining to them all the qualified
Yep.
contractors, that in itself may be enough.
Okay.
I don't wanna create anything more than we need to.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for following up on that. I
Yep.
think Helms did a great job.
I cannot speak enough. We are, and I know you don't hear this a lot in government, but slightly ahead of schedule and slightly under budget. So, and everything's really good, so.
Great.
So that's all I have.
All right,
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. Before we start with our regular meeting, I did promise another gentleman he could speak to us, as he's got other things to do too. We're gonna just go up and state your name and tell us what your issue is.
Claude Perry. The reason I'm here, I live out on County Road 16. The reason I am here, and I want to bring to the commissioner's attention, shooting ranges. Concealed to carry range. I've got one behind my house, which was put in by state regulations. It's illegal.
Oh, yeah.
We have bullets in my house. Saturday, we had a bullet come through my bathroom window, and I was getting ready to go fix some coffee. I was ready to go into the bathroom to wash my hands. In a matter of 5 minutes, the bullet came through the bathroom window, it buried into the 2x4, and they dug it out into the wall. This is under investigation by the Sheriff's Department. One thing that I went on the Ohio Revised Code, and I did look, and this is the commissioner, and I talked to Jeff about this. The commissioners do or can have some regulations in this building of these or the operation of these. I only was there at this place for about 5 minutes. I was upset. My grandson was on the back deck. The bullet just missed him. He hurt it whiz by him. He's 9 years old. I was so upset, I did not wait for the sheriff or deputy to get there. I went over to the range and ordered them to stop shooting immediately. I wasn't there at the most 5 minutes, and what I seen of the range, it's a handgun range. I have pictures of it. There was 11 targets set up, and they're supposed to be still set up, but I don't know that. When you stand at the range and look toward my house, the 2 targets on the south end, there is nothing no higher than my shoulder over top of that. And the farthest one to the south, the farthest target, there is nothing. And you can see through the trees, the leaves. In fact, we could see the range from our house, but we thought it was a trailer, a big trailer he had parked there. And this thing has upset me. I know I'm jumping the gun here, but I think this thing has to be stopped before. If I was in the bathroom, I wouldn't be here speaking today. It was a 9mm bullet they dug out. I've got cedar siding on the north end of my house toward the shooting range. The shooting range is actually facing my house. If you go back and look at it, it's facing my house. We checked Sunday, we found another bullet into the siding on the back corner on the east side. Sheriff Eckleberry and the deputy was out yesterday, took more pictures of it, and they think the bullet is down into the cedar siding. You can see where it pierced and went in. And I want something done. I want this thing closed. I have a concealed carry, and I believe in that. I'm not against guns, but I believe there's safety involved in it. And you can't get people out there just popping bullets, because once they leave that gun, nobody knows where they're going.
Can we contract or have the prosecutor investigate it and see what kind of jurisdiction we have? I completely understand what you're saying, completely. We can only do what's legal right now.
Right.
But I would suggest that we have the prosecutor get with the sheriff, and let's look at what jurisdiction we have on minimizing or controlling that. And then by absolute, I'd be scared to death if I was in your position.
Our
Scared to death.
grandkids, I own the farm. I own, and according to the Ohio Revised Code, we were supposed to have been notified when this range was put in for public use, and that is public use. I own the west side of it, I own the south side of it, I own the farm there. The grandkids, when there's no crops and they ride the fields, I've got some waterways, they ride those. My grandson, Saturday night, he stayed with us, and he was afraid to go to sleep. He said, he called my wife, Ma'am, he said, Ma'am, are they gonna start shooting tonight? I mean, we have safety involved here.
Absolutely. Commissioner, is that an appropriate way to go about that?
I believe so.
Stacy, if you would contact the prosecutor and have him get with the sheriff and investigate it and report back to us on what we can do to minimize this or eliminate it or whatever we need to do.
Well, like I say, I might be jumping the gun here a little bit because I've got pictures, I've got more information, but I wanted it stopped. I don't want.
I understand. This is something we don't want to do tomorrow.
Right.
This needs to be done now. I understand.
Right. And then Sheriff Eckleberry said, he is contacting the prosecutor, as far as I understood. And Deputy Green is working on this. There was a complete criminal investigation done in my house.
We'll want that report to come back to this commission.
Okay.
But the Ohio Revised Code does mention the county commissioners being involved in this as far as some regulations in building or, overseeing this, the township trustees. There's kind of a, I'm no attorney.
Is it on private property then? But it's
Yes, it is on
a
private
state
property.
established, you said, in terms of its
Well,
standard.
he's given concealed carry lessons there.
Okay.
This is a handgun. It's not a shotgun or a rifle range. In fact, the whole thing is not much bigger than from their shooting toward the targets, maybe the width of this room.
You cited the revised code to me privately a little bit ago. I looked at the break there, I didn't find that. 18 didn't reference anything. Do you have maybe a different number? The county numbers was like 3,000s. Do you have any,
What do you mean,
a revised code number? You said 1835. Would it be maybe 3518 or something?
Jeff, we just want the
I've got it on
prosecutor
my,
to
I've got it
look
on
into
my
that.
computer, because I was
Okay.
trying to find out
Okay.
who regulates these, who gives approval?
Okay.
Who gives approval to say this, this site is okay to, for this to be done?
Yeah, we will ask,
And I can call
Derek.
you, Jeff, and let you know
Okay.
exactly, because like I say, I've got it on my computer. I did not write anything down this morning. Like I say, this thing is just, it's blown out of proportion, I mean, as far as safety is concerned.
Right.
And like I say, this thing is, there's chunks of concrete laying in that dirt pile he's got there.
I'm sure the sheriff has shut it down by now, but I will call the owner personally. We've talked about who it was, and I'll call him and see what I can find out also. And we'll ask the prosecutor what jurisdiction we have, and we'll follow up with the sheriff as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You were gonna say something a
No,
minute
I
ago.
was just in asking, like I said, who, in terms of it was up on private property, but yet set up for the training purposes, so.
Does that sound reasonable?
Oh, absolutely it is. That's something we need to act on as quickly as possible. And, I mean, maybe make a moratorium that until we find out what we can do, we can't do, temporarily just shut it down. I'd be scared to death if I was in your home. Don't invite me out there, please.
Well, this is the master bath. I call it my bath. It's, my wife does not use it, I do. And, and I will not go in the master bath. I always, the main bath, I always go to the master bath, And, even to wash my hands. And, and it's right beside the bedroom. I mean, it's, and like I say, this thing is angled right directly in line with our house.
You certainly have a valid concern.
And another thing that I wanted to bring up, into this, if you commissioners do have the right, not only with this one, but others that would be happening into the county. I mean, there's people out there, there's kids out there having fun.
Yeah,
Right. It's,
he said just a level of responsibility needs to be taken, and,
right,
yeah.
right.
Thank you, Mr. Perry, for
Yeah, thank
making
you.
us aware of that. Okay, let's go into our regular business then. We want to sign the journal and approve the minutes. Is there a motion to approve minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the minutes? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. Okay, old business, anybody have any old business?
I guess just to report that the job fair was yesterday. I didn't, sorry Zach, I didn't get a chance to see my paper this morning, but I did get it. I had an engagement in Fremont very early this morning, so I didn't grab my paper and look at it yet, but the event went very well, thanks to the cooperation of lots of people. And so just want to kudos to anybody who had any part of it, promoting it, being there as a business or encouraging someone to attend, but we think we have a wrap-up meeting Thursday, so we'll get some notes made and that kind of thing, but it all went very well. I believe 502 job seekers is what came through. We ran out of folders and checked with registration as we wrapped up the day, and they said there had been just a few other people that came through past the availability of those folders, so that was our counting system.
Good.
I guess this is old business, probably as good time as any to speak it up, to speak about it, and I appreciate Deputy Director Todd coming here today and explaining, the situation, but I really hear nothing different, and what I mean by that is he kept stating the importance of skin in the game, or for the county, that we've got to have something. I understand that my fellow commissioners are not supportive of the initiative that I brought forward. And please understand, it's not my initiative. This is an initiative that has been brought forth by the committees that I'm in and that have been discussed for a number of years. My question to the commissioners are they happy right now with how Seneca County is today? We have a declining population. We have increased demand on our revenues. We have county employees that haven't received a raise, in what I understand, in excess of 4 years. We've got somehow or someday, we're gonna have to deal with a courthouse or a justice center. And how are we gonna do this? I mean, how are we gonna pay for it? I understand this is not a cure-all, and there's, many issues that have to be taken care of. I understand, some of the concerns as to what regulation do we put it under, something -2 or something. But those issues, I believe, can all be worked out if we're in agreement. So again, my question is, are you happy with where Seneca County is today? If you are, then absolutely, I could see how you can't support this process. If you're not happy with Seneca County and you don't support this process, my suggestion is, what plan do you have? I didn't become a commissioner to sit here to be status quo, that we have to do something. We have issues ahead of us. I'm just repeating myself, but we've got current continued demands on our revenue stream, and we don't have enough money to take care of what we need to do. We've got county employees that someday, somehow, somewhere, are going to have to, have a raise. We got a declining population. We are one of the few counties in the state of Ohio that got a declining population. How are we going to deal with it? Deputy Director, is it Odette or Odot or? Odette. It's too close to Odot. That he equally mentions, you got to have skin in the game. So if you don't support this, again, it's not my initiative. I'm just a messenger here. Then I would strongly recommend that my fellow commissioners that we come up some sort of plan somewhere how we can take care of these long-term issues. And I realize that's not something that you can answer today, but at least this is a plan. May not be the best plan, but it's a plan. I found in business, I'd rather have a bad plan than no plan at all.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything?
I don't know, there's room for improvement, we know that. I'm not going to say that I don't want to see things get better in Seneca County, so I don't want to think that my prudence on putting a levy in place means that I don't care. Don't take that. We just have to follow the procedures to do that correctly, which means we need a detailed plan of how those monies potentially could be used. And we are, as I think I've stated in the past, at the point, if we feel that what we need to do is have the collection of funds in this manner so that we can dedicate those, which they have to be for road and bridge projects, to an array of projects that we have the jurisdiction and or know we can put them towards, that would be defined in that plan, then we're at the stage to move to public hearings.
Well, absolutely. That's what, right now, again, my question is, are we happy with where we are in the county right now? And if we're not, this is a plan that we have to materialize, and we have to work out the issues with it, or propose some other plan. But right now, I'm not hearing any other plan. I'm not hearing anything other than I reject this process.
Then I say we sit down and work on a plan. I think we need to, put the plan in place, pull in our resources, talk about the things that ODOT has brought forward today, along with the things, the studies that you presented to Todd and you presented to us this week. The inventory of those things, and start working through what that process is. It's easier for people to understand, correct. It's easier for people to understand if they understand how it's gonna work. And like I said, the misnomers of it being very specific to State Route 53, things like that, that we can't promise, we have to have something to show them to explain that, and we'd have to have that. And we're gonna need that information to present when it comes to a public hearing on the,
Yeah.
as
Well,
well.
we have to start someplace. Right now, we're just at it. Ultimately, there has to be some funding, some skin in the game, some kind of contribution. That's really where we are. At some level, however the plan is materialized, that has to be that. Or, as I said, this isn't my plan. This is the plan that's come out of these committees that I'm in. If we don't agree with some sort of funding, then please, fellow commissioners, let's come up with another plan. Maybe it's not 53, but how are we going to be able to take care of declining population? How are we going to be able to take care of someday, somehow, build a justice center that's gonna have to be done. How are we gonna be able to someday give our county employees a raise, which they desperately need? How are we gonna do these things? How are we gonna pay for them? The thought process is through this road improvement, through the transportation process, that we can recruit business, we can increase the revenue within the county. That's the large plan. Now we gotta boil it down and how we gonna work these things out. But everything that everything that I've heard, and I continue to hear, is it requires that we have to have some personal funding into the process. So we seem to be stuck up on the personal funding part of it. Or, again, if you don't agree with that, then please, I ask you to come up with another plan. Something that we can take care of these long-term issues, because they're not gonna go away.
As we talked this morning with ODOT at the early meeting about skin in the game, the county funded and those of you that weren't here, I'm sorry, funded a study of specifically making 53 and 224 a Super 2, exactly what we're talking about. It had cost estimates, it was a detailed study. Rich said it cost $22,000, of which the county, private individuals, and SIDEC paid for. So we actually did a study already. We also told ODOT this morning that Mr. Zimmerman has offered a 20% match on a loop road. To me, that's skin in the game. You talk about the courthouse, I kind of thought we had a plan. I had a plan anyway. We put aside $400,000 last year. Hope to put aside something this year. The judges are putting something aside for out of their special projects fund. I can envision 4 or 5 years bidding that thing out. I think to tie that $5 license tax to all of the problems of the county is quite an overreach.
Well, the reason, from what I understand, why the plan wasn't initiated, the plan for the Super 2 back in I knew it was done some time ago, I didn't know the exact time, but was that the state, when the county went to the state, the county had nothing to contribute towards it. It died.
Paid for a whole blooming study.
Well, the study, but not to have some contribution towards the project. And so from what I understand, it died because, again, I'm getting this from the chambers, from SIDEC, from regional planning, because nobody would come forth and say, we need to get some additional funds. At the time, the commissioners were fighting just to pay their bills and didn't have any additional funds, which is no different than what we have today. At some point, sometime, for us to make some things happen at the state level, we're going to have to contribute some funds. So my feeling is we need to start pigeonholing some of that money away. If we can't take it out of the general funds. I applaud the previous commissioners for what they're doing for the courthouse. Absolutely, I think that's right on. But what are we doing for economic development for roads and improvements? We don't have the funds to be able to do it. How are we going to deal with someday we've got county employees that are going to expect a raise. How are we going to do that? We've got a declining population. All those things are coming against each other. The only thing I believe that's going to turn it around is economic development. Well, how are we going to do that? This is a proposal to do that. If you have another suggestion or another way we can go about getting economic development, promoting economic development in Seneca County, other than through road improvements, I'm all for it.
What did Mr. Vogt say this morning at the industrial park? How many businesses are expanding right now? 5? I don't remember
Yeah,
what he said.
I don't
5
remember the number,
businesses are
but quite a
expanding
few.
Is
currently.
that sufficient to take care of our needs? I mean, is it? So again, that's a question. I guess the question to the commissioners, are you happy with where we are with the county right now? With the current advancements, expansions that are going out there, if that's fine, and these companies are happy with the roads that we got, then why in the world would we want to expand our roads? Why would we want to tax our people any further? If you're happy with the way they are, I believe there are opportunities that we can continue to expand on. And that's going to require growth.
Well, I guess I'll speak just for me. I think we're continually trying to improve in all areas of the county. I think we go to work every day and our staff works every day trying to improve every area of the county. I do not support a tax increase. I think we need to work within what we have, whether that's a license tax or any other sort of tax increase. I'll put it on the ballot. You wanna put it on the ballot? Let the people say, that's fine. And, you know, you say, the people, your argument is the ballot will turn it down. They'll reject it. Well, maybe they will. And I disagree with the voters many times. This last presidential election, I couldn't have disagreed more. But if we think that because we're elected officials, we have to do something because the voters won't do it, we've got a bigger problem than inadequate roads.
Public hearings would give the citizens the opportunity, whether it's going to the ballot or otherwise, to answer the question, are they happy with Seneca County?
Are we ready to do it? I mean, there's no, for us to pass this, we have to have unanimously approved by 3 commissioners, and it's got to be, bring above 2 public hearings. My fellow commissioners, if we have a public hearing, and I haven't called for a public hearing yet, but if we have that and there's enough support, would you vote towards it? If your mind is made up that you're absolutely not, because there will be some pros and cons.
The purpose of the public hearing is to have public input, so to answer how I would vote in advance of the public hearing would be assuming we don't even need the public hearing, which by law we have to do.
Absolutely.
So we need that input.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still open-minded enough to still listen to what the public needs to say, because there's a lot of them that don't understand, because they're, as you know, the nitty-gritties and the details, and there is a big difference on who's paying based on which law.
But I'm hearing
And
from
there is,
Commissioner Wagner that is absolutely against any tax, so.
I will put it on the
well,
ballot.
what, there are
So
three,
a public hearing would not have any bearing on your decision.
When you're riding a horse and the horse dies, you get off. I'm not voting, I'm not imposing a tax. I'm
So,
not
yeah.
imposing a tax. I can tell you that 3, 4, 5 times, you never hear it. I'm not imposing a tax. I'll put it on the ballot.
there are 3 methods in which this could go in place. Obviously, following the procedures of the public hearing, which takes us having a resolution with that schedule to make sure we meet all those time constraints. Okay. One is regular method. The assumption has been made for quite a while, and it's this the first is brought up, and you just asked this question. It is not a unanimous vote of this board. It is a regular process to put that on place. That process also is subject to referendum by the citizens to request us to put it to the ballot if they do so within 30 days. Second method is emergency. That requires a unanimous vote. The third is electorate, and that's regular vote, but that's where we put it on the ballot, as Jeff has just said. And that's a regular, simple majority vote.
Yeah, well, I would not support us voting on an emergency. This is not an emergency
It doesn't,
situation.
no.
No, doesn't fall within that.
I'm just
This is more
defining,
long-term.
what the 3 ways are, because of your statement talking about, and that is incorrect. It is not a unanimous vote.
So to hold a public hearing is really immaterial, because as Commissioner Wagner, and Jeff, I've got nothing, I understand
Did you
you've
hear
got.
what she just said?
Yes, it has no bearing on it.
No, you have
she
to have
just
public
said it
hearings no
does
matter
not-
no matter which way we vote, and really no matter which of the 2 current laws really available to us, because the third one is pending on if you already have the other one in place. We have to have the public hearings no matter what, and then we can vote. We can't vote
Okay, yeah.
until we've had the
Yeah.
public hearing. So to state that I want to hear, I would want to hear from the public. I mean, that's the process we have to follow.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is Commissioner Wagner's made the statement, he will not vote for it regardless of the public hearing. It's the only way he would vote for it is to go on.
On the ballot.
To go on a ballot. So to hold a public hearing is to get his approval, that's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen,
That's
but-
not gonna happen.
Did you say it did not require a unanimous vote?
Correct.
Did you hear her say that? It does not require a unanimous vote, according to her research.
If we have a public hearing.
No.
Anyway,
After the public hearings, when we choose to put a levy in place, there's the 3 methods we do it is regular vote, emergency, or electorate. Regular, simple majority. Emergency is unanimous vote. And then the electorate is a simple majority.
Which, to get it on the ballot.
Electorate puts it
Yeah,
right on the ballot.
okay.
Right.
So the first, if we have public hearings and 2 of the 3 are supportive of it, then it would go into effect.
that's,
We would then vote after the public hearings.
Yeah, after the
Yeah,
public
after the
hearing.
public
yeah,
hearings, we
yeah.
would vote.
So then we don't need the unanimous,
Correct.
yeah, at that point, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
But like I said, the public hearing process has to occur.
Again, this is the whole government thing that I'm having a difficult time trying to deal with, because a business, it wouldn't happen that way, but I understand. Okay, no more said.
More old business?
Nope.
Okay. I lost my train of thought. New business.
New business. I have bill vouchers, 57 through 61. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the general fund for 2013, putting $7,840 into the supply line. This is for the copy paper that Nikki had presented last session. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $500 from insurance line, which insurance has been paid for the year, to the supply line. I have a resolution authorizing the fire detection and alarm contract service agreement with Klaus Electric for the Seneca County Jail. I have a resolution for the revision to the resolution recorded in Journal 84, page 319, to establish rates and charges for the use of the New Regal wastewater collection and treatment system of the countywide sewer district for users in the New Regal area of the district pursuant to section 6117.02, and also a revision to the resolution recorded in Journal 84, page 318, to establish rates and charges for the use of the Bascom wastewater collection and treatment system of the county-wide sewer district for users in the Bascom area of the district pursuant to section 6117.02 of the Ohio Revised Code.
This is just the rates and the charges. This is not all of the things that Mark was talking about earlier.
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
And I think that's all the new business I had.
All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion that we approve as outlined.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on any of those items? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes. All right, might note that at 1:30, we're having a work session with Jill Griffin regarding the community development block grants. We have to decide where that money that's allocated to Seneca County goes. We may or may not make decisions at that time, but the awards will be announced at the second public hearing, is that correct, Jill? Which is what date?
June 4th.
June 4th. So you're all welcome to come back to it, but it will be just discussion of those various projects and what we may or may not come to a conclusion. But June 4th will be the official announcement. Do we have any public comment at this time? Yes, Paul.
I have two, actually. The first one was with Mr. Perry, the landowner that had the bullets in his house.
Yes,
I think it'd be good for one of you to call that owner today
I will call Mr.
and just ask him to stop. Let him know what's happening. Just, you know, everybody has concerns and he's human, so he's gonna stop that if somebody of authority calls him.
I'm sure the sheriff he said the sheriff has talked to him already, so I'm sure that's happened, but I do plan on calling him today.
Yeah, I
unless-
think coming from a commissioner, that would be a great deal. You know, I'm Seneca County Commissioner, you know what's happening.
Right, right.
And secondly is about the tax. I agree and disagree with a lot of that stuff. I do not agree with the $5 fee until we find out if there's any other money available. I know the $400,000 that you're saving for the courthouse, I don't agree with that. You're a government entity. Your job is not to save money for a later project that you deem fit for 5 years or whatever. If we have $400,000 and the state wants $200,000 to do this project, and we can be guaranteed that it will follow through and it will become a done deal, then we should use that money. We have that money. That's my taxpayer money. That's everybody's taxpayer money. And to me, the commissioners should not have the right to just say, I'm going to put it in this pot for later use. If you can use it now, and the super 2-lane highway will definitely be a great idea. It'll help us become a better community. we'll get more business, we'll get bigger industry, we all want better jobs. You talked about how the county didn't get a raise for the last 4 years. I worked for that county. Not only did we not get a raise, our take-home pay went less because not you guys, but the commissioners chose to make our insurance benefits more costly with less benefits. We all went through that. So that's part of working for the county. It used to be your benefits were great, that's why your money wasn't as high as other places. So people work for the county instead of private industry. That's gone to the wayside. Now you don't even have the good benefits. But I think the money that you're saving is wrong. It's not your job as a government entity to save money. You're supposed to be using that money to benefit the people of Seneca County. And I think you should look at all the alternatives that you have on where to get that $200,000. If all it is $200,000, $5 is not going to kill me for a new license registration. It's not going to kill a lot of people, but the fact it's another tax bothers me. If you're not using all the money you currently have, that's wrong. If you need to save a little bit of money for emergencies, that's fine. But saving it for a project down the road, I just don't agree with.
Okay, thank you. Other public comment? Yes, Mr. Davison? I should say, you're supposed to state your name first, just because we're recording this and they can see us on the camera here, but they can't see you folks. So if somebody listens to it later, just state your name.
All right, I'll be glad to do that. My name is Kenneth Davison. I've lived for 43 years at 125 Hampton Park. I first arrived in Seneca County 71 years ago last month, so I consider this home. And I have voted in every election since 1948, state, local, and national. I have voted for all three of you commissioners, and I respect you and the difficult job that you have before you. I think it could be argued that county government is the level that touches the average person most. What do I mean by that? Where do we pay our taxes? When we're born, when we marry, when we die. The records are county records. The county does enforce state laws. The sheriff is a very important person. Enough on that. I'm here to support Commissioner Zola's idea of the $5 tax. And the reason is, I think I know Ohio pretty well. I'm the co-author of this junior high textbook, which is no longer in existence. And the reason it isn't, the State Department of Education in the 1990s decided it was no longer important for Ohio students to study Ohio government, geography, and history. A terrible decision. This was a bestseller in Ohio until they made that decision. And not only was this an important book, and I went into all 88 counties before I wrote my part of this book. I'm co-author with Jim Burke of Capital University. The book was published in Salt Lake City by a well-known publisher that had a whole series of books on different states, not every state. But this outsold New York, California, Florida, Michigan, Arizona. I'm very proud of the work we did. Now, 10 years after I arrived in Seneca County, I joined the faculty of Heidelberg College. I taught there for more than 40 years. I have also taught at Bowling Green State University at the graduate and undergraduate level. My subject all those years was American history and government. I think it's very important that we recover our reputation as a county in this state. In the last month, I have attended every weekend some state or regional history meeting. At every one of them, county commissioners mayors, city council members were present. And they all asked me, what's going on in Seneca County? Why are you acting as you are? I'm telling you that we are on trial as a county government. We're not doing the kind of job we should be doing. And it's very embarrassing to me to have to defend my county. Now, I've probably used my 3 minutes, but I'm not quite finished yet. You know, the Second Amendment's being widely discussed. I think the First Amendment is also a very important amendment. One thing I've learned, and I'm in my 90th year, I'm very fortunate to be still standing here. All of my buddies were killed in World War II. It's a mystery to me why I was spared. But I'm still interested as a senior citizen in my state, in my county, and my city. I'm proud to be a Buckeye. All right. One thing I've learned is you've got to spend money to make money. The trick is to spend it for the right thing. Now, we're discussing a $5 permissive tax. I have 3 old automobiles. It will cost me $15 if this is ever enacted. When I retired at age 65 in 1989, I was debt-free. But several times since then, I have mortgaged my property to support worthy causes. And I'm currently in debt, but if I'm lucky and if I live another year or so, I'll be able to be debt-free again. I felt it was very important in my life to support worthy causes, and that's why I'm in debt at the moment as a senior citizen. Most people like to be debt-free. So I think it's worth trying. And I know it's a tax, but ladies and gentlemen, the price of civilization is taxes. If you want to have a decent society, you've got to pay for it. And I don't think the $15 that I would have to pay is difficult to meet. And sometimes when you're leaders in government, you have to go against what seems to be the public grain. Nobody likes taxes, but as I say, it's the price of civilization, and it's a worthy price to pay. Well, that's enough. I think all of you have to get together, get on the same page. The last time in my experience in Tiffin and Seneca County that we were all on the same page was in the 1970s when we were celebrating the bicentennial of this nation. We were all proud of it. And in Tiffin, I was asked by then Mayor Gilmore Lang, the father of Mike, and I believe the grandfather of Ann Devine, to be the head of the local bicentennial commission. It was the greatest experience I've ever had in this community. We were all on the same page. We had the Westgate merchants, we had the labor union, we had all the women's groups, we had all the men's groups, we had the 2 campuses. It was thrilling all to be on the same page. And we got a great deal accomplished. You can go to the public library and find the 3-year record of minutes of the Tiffin Seneca Bicentennial Commission. And I leave it at that. I think we have a great opportunity before us to restore our reputation in the state of Ohio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, my name is Stephen Cassant, and I'd like to show my favor in Commissioner Zolder's $5 tax fee. One of the things I did want to add to the improvements for the pros would be, for the economic standpoint, keeping graduates from both universities in Tiffin and Seneca County. Providing more jobs and more economic development will be more appealing to college graduates and staying within the community that they're staying in. So I think that you know, it's a huge trickle-down effect. You know, do the ends really justify the means? And I think $5 now will, a measly $5, I should say, will, in the long run, create more revenue for the city. And I don't think people will feel sorry about, you know, spending that extra $5. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Delmer?
Delmar Goshi, I know I asked this question before, and I don't think I ever got a real answer, and I don't think anybody ever knew the real answer, but how in the world did that overpass over there on Fostoria, the last one they put up out there where the Autolite plant was at, how did that get funded? How did that get funded? I understood there was state money went in that, but that is not a state highway. It never has been a state highway.
I do not have the,
It was the ODOT people, they could have answered that.
yeah, we should ask ODOT when they were here. I do remember going to a public hearing where ODOT presented the plan, so it was their baby, but I don't know who
I mean,
funded
if they
what,
could
and
get
how much
funding for
was.
that, for really, that overpass right now is not that great of an asset, because the traffic has been taken away from there because that plant's pretty much gone. How in the world could they get funding for that? That's a pretty good sized project. How could they get funding for that? Through the state, I understood. How could that be? And you can't get the state to come in and make an estimate on what it would cost to do the 53 the way they should do it, because state highway is, as far as I'm concerned, is the state highway department's responsibility. It shouldn't be the county's responsibility. And I know that Mr. Zoller won't agree with me, but why should the county have to put money into the state fund to do their job? That's their job. That's not the county's job. And I want to see it done. Absolutely want to see it done. If I have to spend $5 a year extra to do it, I'll do it. But I don't think it's the responsibility of the county to do the state's job. That's all I got to say about it. And if anybody can tell me how that got funded over there, I'd like to know. I kept hearing that there was federal money involved with it. Okay, if there was federal money involved with it, why was federal money involved with it? You know, and can't get any kind of money for the rest of the county.
Good question, I don't know the answer. I
I'm
don't,
sure Mr. DeVole could tell us, but I
yeah,
don't.
yeah, I don't know the answer.
I don't know what that amount was over there, but that had to be it had to be multi-millions, you know, to do that project. And we can't get them to do $200,000 to do a study on their own? Don't make any sense.
That was a federal earmark. That the same time when Tiffin got some of the money for the project near Tiffin University, near Heidelberg University, that was also a federal earmark from Congressman Gilmore.
Okay.
That's where the money came for
the Fostoria
Yeah, for the
overpass?
Fostoria
Yeah.
overpass.
And see, the state would have overseen the project if you saw
Yeah,
the state doing it,
yeah,
but
it
federal
goes
highway
through
money
the state,
comes
yeah,
through your state,
the State
so.
Department of Transportation then, which is how our projects have gone through.
Okay. Thank you.
You know, I had heard that, but I couldn't verify it.
Yeah, and
In other words, there's federal money, but there was still state money involved in it somewhere along the line.
no, the state just oversaw it. The federal
Okay.
government gave the money to the state watches over the project.
The state
basically.
oversaw it,
Yeah.
the state's got money in it.
If
know?
you want to put it that way, yes.
Still one of the questions I have is if we put this tax on or even put it on the ballot, which one do we put on? The one that Tiffin doesn't pay or the one that Fostoria doesn't pay?
Because,
Put them both on, and then
That's-
Clinton Township would pay 10.
and that's what I was going to, I mean, I know it's citizens' comments, I didn't want to put a question back to the citizens, but both Mr. Kaizen and Mr. Davison is that you're willing and supportive of it, but depending on, I'm gathering, Mr. Davison, you're in the city limits, and I'm not sure about Stephen, but depending, again, like Jeff just said, which law is going to depend on who has to pay and who we do collect, you know, or who they will collect from. is a big difference in the two that are in place, based on the other ones in place. You know, I'll put it out there because I was asked by a group of township trustees. They said, you know, if this was going to be put to the vote, the concerns is that, you know, the majority of the people are in Tiffin, that, you know, if they all voted, could carry the vote and they don't pay it if it's the certain .02. And they asked me, they said, did the mayor of Tiffin plan to retract his? I'm not, that's a rhetorical question, Aaron, but, Mr. Mayor, but, you know, that was the thing. They are getting, and I don't know a lot of people understand that. A lot of people are very willing, but I don't know if they understand whether they would or wouldn't be paying it, because depending on which law it is. And the other one, it's a share. And again, other than because of the ones they have in place, we would not share with Bettsville and Fostoria because they already collect.
Yeah, but see,
There.
the mechanics of those things can be worked out if we had an agreement to move forward. We don't have an agreement to move forward, so to work out, you know, we're not past step one. And then step one is is that we would agree in principle. In principle, then we gotta work the details out. I mean, that's,
But you gotta hold the public hearing and then, and vote on one or the other, and the mechanics are defined in the law. If it's this one, this is who's gonna pay, and if it's this one, pending these things,
I
and
know,
if
but
it's this one,
but
it's
is
this.
there other options that are available to us so that we can have uniformly everyone pay? I mean, those are things that I
No, there is
don't.
not.
It's this or both.
Because of other ones already in place, there aren't, those details they don't let us play with. I mean, I was gonna rewrite the law.
Well, we're smart enough to work this out. We need to.
My thoughts exactly.
Stephen?
Eventually, with any law, someone is going to be unhappy, and someone
Right.
is going to get the so-called short end of the stick. But who gets it? It's obviously not for me to decide, but
Life isn't fair. Life isn't always fair.
But there's no reason in my mind to move forward. I understand, then we go back to, if we do the public hearings, we don't have to have unanimous, it could be just two of us that would support it. I guess I'm looking for direction. But I would, again, I solicit my fellow commissioners to come up with a plan. If it's not the $5 tax, if it's not road improvements, how are we eventually gonna take care of the issues that are at the county? How can we, as county commissioners, help promote economic development? How are we gonna generate the funds needed to support the county to be able to pay raises? How are we gonna be able to take care of raises in the coming years? We can't never give raises. Eventually, that's gonna have to be taken care of. How are we gonna take care of a declining population? Those are macro levels, that this is one avenue. There may be other avenues to solve those issues, and I'm very supportive of any suggestion you may have other than the proposal that and it's not my proposal. Again, I'm taking this, I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just repeating what I have heard in committees that have been established year after year after year. I mean, this study was conducted in 2005, 2002. It was never enacted from my, what I've been told, has not been enacted because we never had any money in the game. So we could never get past, because nobody was naive enough or stupid enough to get up there and say, hey, I think we need to put a tax on.
Yeah, but
So I'm open for suggestions.
at the same time, if that study was done and they needed something, why shouldn't the state pay their bills? Why shouldn't, I mean, I agree that this road should be improved, there's no question about it. But why can't Seneca County people, and I'm not talking about putting Seneca County money in it, I'm saying putting state highway money in it, why can't they get it done?
Director Ray has come right out and said, unless there's contribution from I'm not saying it's right, Delmer, not by any means. I think it's a state road, they should take care of it. But the realities in this world are that you gotta share a little bit to be able to get a little bit. I mean, that's,
In other words, you gotta bribe them.
you call it anything you want, but you're gonna have to have some contribution, some part of the process to be able to motivate them. Now, is that right? No, it's a state road. Absolutely, I am 100% behind you on that. But the reality is they don't do it.
Yes.
Well, obviously, there is no solution to this problem right now, but, so I would ask commissioners if you would set up a public hearing date to get the ball rolling, to see if the public's opinion on the issue at hand, because obviously it is an ongoing issue that it will to continue to grow the longer it is waited out.
Yep. We've received a boatload of public opinion, both here and wherever we go. I think the question, whether we want to have a public hearing to continue the process of either voting on it or putting it on the ballot is the question in my mind. And you know what my position is. Any other public comment? We do have a Respect for Law luncheon at noon that I think we're all attending at the Optimist Club. Is there any other business that the board has? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we adjourned at 11:36. Thank you.